Alec Stewart joining me right now. He's an insurance industry expert. He actually knows the Houston area pretty well. I lived down here for a time. Alec is with Eagle Independent Insurance Company. Mr. Stewart, welcome to the Voice of Texas.
Thank you. Good morning.
The nightmare scenario that I just outlined, that Russell and I were just talking about, that is my primary concern, that we're going to get into hurricane season. And, of course, the liberals have been telling us that, this is going to be the worst one yet, this is going to be the worst one yet, and they're often wrong. But one of these days, the stopwatch is right twice a day. One of these days they're going to be right, and we'll get another season where we have an Ike roll ashore. And folks need to be aware of what they have and what they don't. And again, on top of the nightmare scenario of being without power, of being oppressively hot, and having your life turned upside down, the ultimate insult to injury is the insurance company saying, oh, well, you've been paying all these premiums for nothing because you're not covered. How do folks protect themselves against that?
Absolutely. One of the big issues is that, unfortunately, people oftentimes don't think about their insurance or really spend the time to proactively look at it until something happens, until there's a catastrophe. And so the first thing I would recommend is going into, the heavy storm season is to pull all your policies, double check exactly what you have, what you think you have, go to your current agent and ask them for an evaluation of your current insurance and give them some different circumstances. Let them know. So what happens if I have a hurricane? What happens if, we have hail or we have a tornado or rising water? Am I covered? Get it in writing. Try to figure out exactly what they're telling you have and what you think you have. And then the second step is go to an independent agent. If you're with a captive carrier, State Farm, Farmers, Allstate, or you've gone direct for your insurance, I always recommend going to an independent agent that represents multiple carriers and have them do a free evaluation.
What's the advantage of that? Why is it important that you get somebody who's like yourself, an independent, as opposed to relying on going to State Farm and saying, hey, State Farm, you guys are covering me right? Thumbs up, right? And they'll say, yeah, absolutely, just keep those premiums coming. Isn't that the danger, is that they're they are interested in their bottom line, not in protecting their customers, whereas an independent doesn't have any allegiance? Do I have that about right?
That's very, very close. I mean, unfortunately for State Farm, Farmers, and Allstate agents, that's why they're called captive. They can only present and give you their own company's policy. They can't provide options. So the answer to your question regarding why to have an independent agent do an evaluation and get you quotes is because they do have multiple options. In the case of our agency, we've got over 30 carriers, and those carriers have all different kinds of coverages and pricing. And nobody is a one-size-fits-all insurance program. And so everybody's circumstances are different, and my first recommendation is go to your current agent, get an evaluation, and then take it to an independent. Even if you're with an independent, take it to another independent. You get a separate set of eyes so that when you go to bed at night, you know, in fact, what coverage you have.
Yeah, and Alec Stewart, by the way, my guest right now, he's with Eagle Independent Insurance Agency. The number one blind spot that you see that folks, especially in areas like Houston, that you guys run across when you do your own evaluations, what is the number one thing that people are missing?
Normally in our case, what we see the most of is a lack of flood or rising water coverage. And a lot of times that's a separate policy that needs to be purchased. And, again, going to people's individual circumstances of what they need, where they are, their location, and their risk. Flood in the Houston area is usually the number one gap that we see. Secondarily, as you were opening up with on your discussion, one of the other big items is people don't really understand what things are going to cost if they do have a loss, meaning what are my deductibles? Right. If I have a wind-hail deductible, what is it? How much am I going to pay out of pocket to try to get my roof or my home fixed?
And what about the automobiles? Because a lot of folks, you got to travel a long way here. A lot of folks have long commutes, and if your car gets taken out by a natural disaster, I mean, does conventional auto insurance cover that?
Typically there is a limit provided when you get your state minimum limits when you go buy your insurance. But the main thing is when you're having your independent agent do your evaluation, double check both your home and your auto and see if the limits that are provided on the auto adequately cover what you do every day. Of course, catastrophe is an issue. But one of the big holes that we always see is the minimum state limits for liability, or not having uninsured or underinsured motorists if you were to get hit by somebody that doesn't have insurance. Mm-hmm. Those types of risk on auto are much higher than a catastrophe. But it's definitely worth it to spend the time, be proactive, see what you have, and then shop it. Go shop it with an independent agent and see what they have to offer.
Alec Stewart, insurance industry expert. He knows our area pretty well, and Alec is with the Eagle Independent Insurance Agency. Thanks for the time and expertise, sir. You know what? We figured we'd get you on a couple of months before things got hot and heavy in the heart of the hurricane season. So I appreciate your time and expertise today here on the show. All right,
Thank
more
you
to come.
so much.
You betcha, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.